in love with him. I thought, I've got a diamond here, you know, I've only got to polish him.
His presence, his appearance, it was very impressive.
One day, the nation will express its gratitude.
It wasn't only the pace, the strength, the physics.
He was our inspiration, a true champion.
Born as Rudy Dill on September the 1st, 1962, to a Surinamese father and a Dutch mother, a love of football began early.
I've been raised in the Jordan. It's, let's say, the center of Amsterdam, near the canals. It's a flower neighborhood. Everything has named as a flower. I was born in Rose Street, then moved to Balboa Square, close to it. There's a square where I always played football with my, with my friends.
It was in the Bilbao Square that Gullit would meet friend and future teammate Frank Rijkaard.
Frank I met for the first time when I was 10. We always met each other to take a tram to go to school. And we lived in the same neighborhood, and from there on, we played every day on Bilbao Square.
We lived in a neighborhood where a lot of kids played on the streets, and one of them was Ruud Gullit. And I always enjoyed it.
Soon Ruud swapped playing in the square for his first amateur team.
I went to an amateur team in Amsterdam West. It's called DWS. And it was a good amateur team, and from there on, people noticed me.
HFC Haarlem's manager Barry Hughes was the first to pay particular interest in the youngster.
I went to see his father, and I went there when he was 15. His father said, listen, I'm not going to talk about his future now because he's 15. So if you come back next year, we'll talk to you about it. He's 16. I says, what's the time? He says, 8 o'clock. I said, well, I'll be back next year at 8 o'clock. And what's the date? Let's say September the 6th. So he says, I'll be back on September the 6th at 8 o'clock. And I did that. I went back exactly at 8 o'clock, knocked on the door. They opened the door, Mr. Gullit and Mrs. Gullit. And it's amazing that you've come at exactly the same moment that you told us.
Gullit joined HFC Haarlem, and a long-lasting bond was formed between the pair.
He took really care for me. He prepared me already for the things that could happen, and always told me that never regret the things that you didn't do. Always do your best, whatever you do now, because this is going to be a great journey.
But the relationship wasn't always trouble-free.
I heard he was in a discotheque, and I brought him in and I said, listen, Rudy, I'll be very honest with you. Do you want to be a great footballer? I said, you can earn millions. But you can't go to discotheques and drink and smoke like your friends. You've got to make a decision now. You're 16 and a half. Are you going to be a footballer, or are you going to be one of the lads?
Gullit took the advice on board, and his career began to flourish with Haarlem. In his 3 seasons at the club, he scored 32 goals, many of them coming from the sweeper position. His fine form hadn't gone unnoticed by the giants of the Dutch league.
He was just sold to Feyenoord. Feyenoord came in and wanted him to play there, and they paid the money that Haarlem asked for. Well, I knew he would never stay at Haarlem.
Gullit joined the Rotterdam club, and Hughes waved goodbye to his young star.
Feyenoord was the first time I went to a bigger club. Had a great reputation, but not so much in shape at that moment also. Not so many people came to watch them, but it was a build-up.
It was at Feyenoord that Gullit got the chance to play alongside his childhood idol, Johan Cruyff.
I had the opportunity to meet Johan Cruyff, who I think it was 37, 38 when he arrived there, but he taught me a whole lot of what I could expect as a football player.
Gullit was an instant success at Feyenoord, but there was no silverware in the first season. The second season would prove to be more successful. The combination of Cruyff and Gullit helped Feyenoord complete a famous League and Cup double. These were to be the last trophies that Cruyff would lift in his glittering career, and would also prove to be the last in Gullit's time at Feyenoord. The next season was barren, and Gullit moved to rivals PSV Eindhoven.
Feyenoord was not in the best of shapes. I wanted to move on. All of a sudden, also the things that changed me, and also that Johan Cruyff prepared me for, is that from now on you're going to take and you're going to have responsibilities. It's not only how you play yourself, but also what you can do for the team.
At PSV, he met a young Guus Hiddink.
I was a young manager in 85-86 in PSV Eindhoven, where we signed him from Feyenoord. And there he was already at that time, a big personality. And we had the plans with him to build a team around him in Eindhoven to go for, of course, the titles in Holland, but for also to be a big club in Europe.
In his first season at Eindhoven, Gullit scored 24 league goals, helping his team to win the Dutch league. His personality was beginning to shine through.
He did a tremendous job in Eindhoven. We need that personality in a club who was not coming, let's say, from the city, but with a lot of ambition. So we signed players of his stature with personality. He did well. He did very well.
The following year, Gullit's talents were again instrumental in winning the league as Eindhoven triumphed for the second successive season. He scored 22 goals and earned himself the Dutch Footballer of the Year award for the second time. Another move was just round the corner.
I came to PSV Eindhoven to be champion, to become champions. Not just to play, but just to become champions. So I had that responsibility with me, and we did that twice in a row. So that was a great achievement.
Serie A club AC Milan offered a world record-breaking fee of what today would equate to just over €7 million for the emerging Dutch superstar.
It was crazy. I never felt it was like a weight on my shoulders, the amount of money that they paid for me. It was a new adventure. It was something I always dreamt of.
Gullit arrived at Milan, bringing in a much-needed change in attitude to the Serie A side.
It was the year when the mentality of the side changed. It was a team that was beginning to grow and will be together for many years to come.
Gullit's presence had an instant impact on a team starved of success.
The first year I was without any fear. It was all new for me. I didn't care against who I played as long as I could play. And I think it was one of the most spectacular years I had, I think, the first year with Milan.
Milan went on to win the Scudetto for the first time in 9 years, winning the title on the final day of the season against Como. Milan's newfound success was as a direct result of Gullit's fine performances.
I must say that Ruud, the year before, did a great performance. They won the championship, and he was beginning to become a great star.
Gullit was becoming a phenomenon in Italy and a worldwide icon, not just because of his football skills, but his trademark dreadlocked hair, strong physique and his outspoken views. They were turning him into a superstar.
He was one of the first players to develop his media image. His dreadlocks made him more recognisable than most other players.
Gullit's fame would allow him to fight for a cause very close to his heart, the end of apartheid and the freedom of Nelson Mandela.
I was into reggae music, and in reggae music a lot of was taught and sang about Nelson Mandela, Steve Biko also. So all these people were like icons also for me. They fought for a cause that was enormous.
Gullit, a keen musician himself, recorded an anti-apartheid song with the reggae band Revelation.
In Italy it was like a storm because all football players talking about politics. And I thought it was not politics. I think it was just a human decision.
We are extremely grateful, and hopefully one day the nation will express its gratitude to you, which is what you will deserve.
It made an impact that I couldn't, foresee. And later on, when you talk with people that have been in prison, I talked also with Nelson Mandela himself about it. I was so honored and so surprised that he knew about me when he was in prison. And Nelson Mandela, as a president, he honored me also, you know, and gave me an award.
Back on the pitch, Gullit's club success hadn't yet been mirrored in his international career. Having been a full Dutch international since 1981, he hadn't yet been involved in a major tournament with Holland. In 1988, that was about to change as they got their chance at the European Championships to be held in West Germany. Gullit was to captain the side. In the opening match, Holland faced the USSR and made the worst possible start, losing to a single goal.
Most important experience or memory is that we lost the first game. But we didn't play that bad, but we lost the first game. It started with our coach, Michels at the time, who said, "We lost, but we have to go on, no problem, we are playing a good game, so it will come, it will come." So that gave a lot of confidence.
With Rinus Michels' words of wisdom and encouragement, Holland faced England in the next group match. Gullit set up Van Basten for the first. England equalised through Brian Robson. Van Basten then blasted home his second before completing a hat-trick. 3-1 to Holland. In the final group match, the Dutch met the Republic of Ireland. Wim Kieft scored the only goal of the game, and they were through to face the old enemy, West Germany.
When we had internationals against Holland, it was widely publicised that we hated each other.
This semi-final turned out to be a really heated affair. When Jurgen Klinsmann went down in the box, the decision was penalty. The Dutch were outraged. Lothar Matthäus stepped up and scored. Holland hit back with their own penalty. Jurgen Kohler bringing down Van Basten in the box. Ronald Koeman scored. With time running out, Marco van Basten burst through. There was only one outcome. Gullit and his team were through to the final with 75 seconds left on the clock.
The Dutch scored a goal right at the end through Marco, which was very unlucky for us. I think it was the 89th or 90th minute.
It was a fantastic moment because we beat Germany in the country of Germany, and in the semi-final that was a great success, and everybody in Holland was enthusiastic about that.
The fact that we were winning against Germany, okay, that is something what gives more to the victory, but I think it's more important to play in the final.
The Olympic Stadium in Munich would host the European Championship final of 1988. Gullit and Holland faced the team that had beaten them in their first match, the USSR. The Russians pressurised from the outset, but the Dutch struck first. Captain and leader, Gullit settling the nerves. Next would come one of the most famous moments in the history of the game.
I remember on the pitch that the cup was really too high, way too high, but Marco made something out of it that was something to remember, and nowadays people still talk about it. It was a great goal.